So yeah, thanks, Jamie. So happy New Year, everybody. I noticed some of you from Sydney, so I hope you're okay out there because it sounds really awful. So yeah, anyway, let's get started. So we're looking at the writing task today. So it's advantage and disadvantage essays. It's quite a common essay type for task 2. The outline of the webinar will be how to understand the question, plan your answer, develop your ideas, and then, as Jamie said, there'll be a Q&A at the end. So just please feel free to put any comments or answers to my questions in the box as we go along. Okay, I will try and acknowledge them if I can. Okay, so let's get started. So the aims of the webinar. So by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to understand advantage and disadvantage questions, plan your essay using a simple structure, use linking expressions to develop your argument, and use key vocabulary to describe benefits and drawbacks. Okay, so let's have a look. Right, so first of all, the question. Okay, so I'll just read the question out to you. At the present time, the population of some countries includes a relatively large number of young adults compared with the number of older people. Do the advantages of this situation outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so the key to understanding this question really is understanding the word outweigh. Can anyone explain what that means? Or can you sort of paraphrase that question? Sorry. Yeah, better than, overcome, sort of similar. Yeah, it's really saying, are there more advantages than disadvantages, or as some of you are saying, are the advantages better than the disadvantages? Okay, so this is what you need to keep in mind when you're answering this. Right, so first of all, it's kind of an obvious comment, but you need to read the question carefully. Identify each part. Okay, so just see how many parts there are. Underline keywords. Okay, so let's just look at the keywords now. So we've got the first one up for you. So the population. Which other ones are keywords in there? Young adults. Yeah, so that whole phrase. Okay, so say keywords, but it's kind of key phrases much of the time. So a large number of young adults. Any others? Older people. Yeah, so it's the whole phrase. The number of older people. And then in the actual question, so yeah, advantages. Yeah, any other keywords? Disadvantages, yes, and outweigh. As I said, outweigh is quite an important word in this task. Okay, so there are actually 3 different types of question. So another 2 that are sort of similar to this one: advantages, disadvantages. So we'll just look at the other 2. So this one is actually probably the most difficult. Okay, so if you can do this one, you can definitely do the others. So let's just look at the next one. So the first one, it could be discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this situation. And then the other type, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this situation and give your opinion. Okay, so these are the 2 other types that you might be given. But as I said, the first one, the one that we're looking at, is probably a bit more difficult. Right, so let's just look at this. So you need to decide on your overall response. What does that mean, decide on your overall response? Clear position, Alexis, yes, good. Yeah, that's right, Sky. So agree or disagree. Well, are there more advantages or disadvantages? So you're just really answering that question. Okay, so in order to do this, you need to think about what the advantages are and what the disadvantages are. Okay, so can you think of any advantages, first of all? So yeah, somebody said it already, 383, workforce, larger workforce, more labour, yeah. Any others? More tax, yes, you're all kind of saying the same thing, really, so that's clearly an advantage. So creates a bigger market for goods and services. And the other one we've got is this one. So some of you didn't say this, I don't think. Young people are able to support elderly people. Okay, so two advantages. So what do you think the disadvantages are? So disadvantages. Yeah, medical expense, strain on the government, that's right. Unemployment. Yeah, so you've got quite a few. Inexperience, that's a good one. Okay, let's look at the ones that we got. So this is what some of you kind of said. So strain on public services. Environmental issue, that's true. Yeah, unemployment, it could be that. So in other words, a lack of jobs for young people. Okay, so as you can see, we've got two advantages there and two disadvantages. Right, so then you need to answer the question. So what do you think? Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So yes or no? Yes. Yeah, most of you are saying yes. Okay. So that's what we said as well. Right, so let's just have a look at the different types of structure. Okay, the different types of questions. So you will need to use a slightly different structure for discuss and outweigh questions. So as I said, this is an outweigh question. It's slightly more difficult. So the structure is a little bit different. Okay, so the discuss question is a bit different. I'll look at this now. So discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this situation. Right, so we have an introduction. Okay, so what do you do in the introduction? What's the first part? As usual, most of you know, yeah, paraphrase, that's right. Second part. Yeah, it's not actually a thesis statement because you're not really giving your opinion here. You might have to, but that needs to be in the question. So an outline statement is just saying what you're going to discuss in the essay. Okay, and then body A, what's the first part? Yeah, topic sentence, that's right. So most of you getting that. And the next part? Yeah, so advantage one. So you have the first advantage, you explain, that's right, and give an example. Yeah. And then advantage two, you explain and give an advantage. Okay. So then body B is the same, really. So the first part, yeah, it's the same. Topic sentence, that's right. And next part, disadvantage, that's right. Disadvantage one, so you explain and give an example. Disadvantage two, you explain and give an example. So you have two advantages and two disadvantages. So it's quite equal in a way, it's easier to write. And then you have a conclusion. So yeah, so Famil, you're asking if we can write more than two. I mean, you can, but I don't think it's necessary as long as you elaborate, so as long as you develop your point properly. You've got the right sort of number of words. Okay, so in the conclusion, what's the first part? Yeah, so yeah, that's right. Some of you were saying this. So you summarize the main ideas and then give what if asked. Yeah, give opinion if asked. Okay, so that is where you would put the opinion in that type of question. Okay, right, now coming back to the question that we're looking at today. So do the advantages of the situation outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so just to remind you, the advantages, as we said before, creates a bigger market for goods and services, and the young people are able to support elderly people. The disadvantages we came up with are strain on public services and lack of jobs for young people. And that is what so we need to choose basically one disadvantage. So we've got two advantages. That means there are more advantages than disadvantages. Okay, so because the advantages of the situation outweigh the disadvantages, so there has to be fewer. right? So we've got 1 here, so strain on public services. So I'm going to, so Redmi, I'm going to come to that question in a minute, actually. It's quite a good question. Let's have a look. So in this outweigh question, we want to show that there are more advantages than disadvantages. We can therefore write 3 body paragraphs. Okay, so paragraph A will be 1 disadvantage. Paragraph B is 1 advantage, and then C is 1 advantage. Okay, so this kind of answers, I think, Redma, was it your question? Usually in academic writing, we present the opposing view first, okay? So we're talking really about advantages, but we would present the disadvantages first and then come back to the advantages. So that's normally the way you do it. But if there were more disadvantages, you would start with the advantage, the 1 advantage. Okay, so in this case, we will start with a disadvantage. As I just said, so if you think there are more disadvantages, you would start with an advantage and then disadvantages. Right, so now looking at the structure. So yeah, sorry, I can't acknowledge all the questions, but please just, you can put them in the Q&A so we can look at them at the end, and Jamie can probably ask the questions at the end, so just feel free to do that. I'll try and answer some of them as I go along. Okay, so now looking at the introduction. So we have body A, body B, and body C. Okay, so this is a little bit different. And then, of course, the conclusion. Right, so the introduction. So like the other type, you paraphrase the question. In this case, you give a thesis statement because you're giving your opinion. Okay, so remember the other one was an outline statement because you were just saying what you were going to discuss there. And then body A, topic sentence is, and it's where you introduce disadvantage 1. And you explain and give an example. And topic sentence. So, okay, somebody's asking, Attila's asking about a thesis statement. Right, can anyone tell me what a thesis statement is? I'll try and answer this one, and then if you can put the others in the Q&A. So the main idea, yeah. So it's the main idea for the essay, and it's really what your opinion is and how you're going to answer the question in, or basically show your opinion in the essay. The thesis statement is where you do that. So when you see the final task, you'll be able to see what the thesis statement is. And Redmi, that's correct. So it explains the view of the writer, the main position, that's right. Right, so coming back to this, so body B, you have a topic sentence where you introduce advantage 1. And then as body A, so you explain, give an example. And body C. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me? Wait a minute, I'll put it. Is that better? Is that better? Okay, good, good. Great, thank you. So body C, sorry, so what's body C? Same as body B, it's similar, yes? So you have advantage 2, and then explain and give an example. Okay, and then the conclusion. Summarize main ideas, that's right. And you would also restate your opinion. Okay, so you're kind of saying what you're saying in the thesis statement, really. So you'd say that there. Okay, right. So let's go back to the beginning. So now look at the introduction. Okay, so as we said, you have to paraphrase the beginning. You can do this by using synonyms, changing the word form, changing the word order, and also voice. What does voice mean? What does voice refer to? Yeah, so yeah, that's right. So if you've got active, you would change it to passive. If it's passive, you might change it to active. Okay, you don't have to do all these things, but you need to try and make it as different as possible, but keep the same meaning. That's important. Okay, so let's do this now. Can you give me a synonym for countries? Nations, thanks, Sky. Yeah. Young, another word for adults. People, that's right. Represent a large, another word for number. So it's not population. You could say amount, in other words. Proportion, that's right, yes. So I would probably say a proportion or amount. Actually, proportion is better, really. Large proportion of the population. Another word for compared with. Yeah, thanks, Alexis. So relative to, okay? So with these kind of linking phrases, make sure you've got the correct preposition as well. Okay, so it's compared with, but relative to. Another word for older. Elderly, that's correct, yes. Okay, so as you can see, that's pretty much the same as the title. And then this is where you give thesis statements, and you might use a sort of linking phrase like this. So this essay will argue that the benefits of another word for young, younger, yeah, youthful, some of you got that, yeah, youthful population, something, the drawbacks, another word for outweigh. Yeah, Mustafa, offset. So I think this is a great word to use. Offset the drawbacks. It means it's the same as outweigh. Something by this state of affairs. Okay, so this is a really useful phrase as well that you could learn. I don't know, if you've watched this before, usually you might know it, otherwise possibly not. Yeah, it's not really involve. Entailed, okay, entailed by this state of affairs, okay, which kind of results from the state of affairs, or this situation is another way of saying that. Okay, but again, remember the preposition that follows it. Yeah, Sky, yeah, I've actually taught this one before, so you should be able to find it on here. So I think maybe me and somebody else taught it, so yeah, we have done it before. Okay, so I'm finishing that off. So as a country with a greater number of young people is better able to something, its economy, develop its economy, that's right, or grow, some of you are saying, yeah, grow, develop. They're probably the best words to use there, I would say. Or maybe boost, you could say as well. Grow its economy and care for its elderly. It's elderly what? People, population, that's okay. Citizens, yes, good. Okay, so as you can see in the thesis statement, we're basically giving reasons as well. So because we've come up with those reasons at the beginning, you can easily talk about them once you've got them in the thesis statement. So it just makes it much easier to follow for the reader, and in your case, the examiner. Sorry, right. Okay, so let's have a look at the body paragraphs. So we've got one disadvantage, as I said. So the topic sentence, one commonly something disadvantage of a young population is that. Okay, argued, you could say that. Any others? Commonly known, that's fine. Yeah, this isn't the thesis statement. We've just done the thesis statement. So this is the first paragraph, sorry, the topic sentence or the first sentence of body paragraph A. So one commonly cited, okay, one commonly cited disadvantage of a young population is that, okay, it places a greater strain on public services. Okay, so there's the disadvantage. And then you need to explain that. So cited just means it's when a lot of people say the same thing. Okay, that's what that means. To cite is to say, kind of say something. And then you would explain that. So you can use a linking phrase like this. So this is because larger numbers of young people require more what? To be built to accommodate them. Yeah, as I said before, please just put your questions in the box at the end of the Q&A, and I'll try and address them if I can. It's not really resources, so it's something that it could be resources, I suppose, but there's a better word really. Facilities, that's right. So more facilities to be built to accommodate them. And then you give an example. So you need another linking phrase there. So for example, the government may need to what more in the school system? Invest, that's right, good. Invest more in the school system. So again, just pay attention to the preposition that follows that. So invest in something, which requires additional public what? Something to do with money. Yeah, funding, that's right. Or spending, yeah. Spending or funding. Okay, and then let's have a look at the linking expressions. So one commonly cited disadvantage of is that this is because, for example, and which, okay? So if you include enough linking expressions, that creates what within your writing? So it's one of the criteria. Cohesion, thank you, Samriddhi, that's right, so cohesion. Yeah, so it kind of sticks all the points together, so just makes it easier to follow. Okay, and then useful vocabulary. So place a greater strain on public services. So that's a collocation there. The school system, additional public spending. Okay, so try to learn chunks of words if you can, or collocations. And then the verb form is present simple because it's a factual situation. So places, require, and then we've got requires again at the end. Okay, so now moving on to advantages. So we've got the first advantage here, it creates a bigger market for goods and services. Okay, so again, you need a topic sentence. You can start with a concession word like this, so despite, which shows that you're changing kind of track, okay? So you're moving from disadvantages to advantages. So you need some sort of word like that. So despite this, or on the other hand, so those kind of words. Okay, there are a number of significant what to having a youthful population. Benefits, that's right, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I keep noticing really good questions, but I just want to try and go through this, and then at the end we'll address them. So please put them in the Q&A and we'll look at them later. So despite this, there are a number of significant benefits to having a youthful population. First of all, okay, and that's when you bring in your first one here. Having more young people creates a bigger market for goods and services. Okay, and then you would explain it. Why is that true? So this helps to boost, that's right. Yep, good. Boost or improve or develop, all those kind of words make sense there. Boost the country's economy, and then you give a reason, because as young people get older, they something, essential consumer items, could be buy, yeah, or need, purchase, yes, that's right. Purchase essential consumer items. And then an example, such as houses, furniture, and electrical what? Yeah, so devices, appliances, goods, okay, they all make sense there. So we've chosen goods. Okay, so that's body paragraph B. Right, so the linking expressions, as I said, you need a concession phrase at the beginning. So something like, despite this, on the other hand, however, all those kind of words are good there. First of all, this helps to, because, as, and such as. So if you include a lot of linking expressions, you'll score highly in that band. Cohesion and coherence. And then useful vocabulary, a number of significant benefits, a bigger market for goods and services, boost the country's economy, essential consumer items, electrical goods. So as I said, try to learn these phrases if you can and collocations. Again, verb form is so it's present simple. So the verbs are fairly easy in this essay. So creates, helps, purchase. Okay, and then moving on to body paragraph C. So the same structure, topic sentence. Somebody was asking before, can you use moreover to introduce the body paragraph B? Okay, you can't because you're not adding information, but here you are adding information. Okay, so for body paragraph B, you're kind of changing. So that's why you would use the word like despite or however. But in this case, you're adding an advantage. You're giving another advantage. So you can say furthermore, moreover, anything else? Any other phrases you could use? In addition, that's right. Okay, besides is okay. Additionally, yeah, that's right. And remember, you need a comma after it. A large, youthful, what? Also has social benefits. People, you can't really say people. Population, yes, or we've used demographic, which is a nice word, nice alternative. Also has social benefits. And then you would explain as young people are able to provide care and support to the elderly parents and friends, yeah, friends or relatives, that's right, good. Okay, and then you would give an example. So here we've used this example of Japan. So in contrast, countries such as Japan, something challenges, face challenges, that's right, in looking after their something population. What do we normally say here? Yeah, aging, that's right. Aging population. Okay, as you can see with aging, this is the UK spelling. So I think in the States they spell it with without the E. Right, so that's kind of a bit different. So that's sort of giving the flip side of the situation. Okay, so it's saying that Japan, they do actually have challenges, even though they can support elderly people. Right, so the linking expressions, furthermore, also, as, in contrast, and such as, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted with your questions because they're quite good ones. But as I said, we'll come back to them. Right, useful vocabulary, so a large youthful demographic. As I said, demographic is a nice word to use instead of population. Population is quite common. Social benefits, face challenges, and aging population. Okay, and then the verb form. So again, present simple for factual situations. Okay, so we've got has, are able to provide, and face. And then coming to the conclusion. So as I said before, you summarize the main points in the conclusion, and you need to begin with a phrase like, in conclusion. You could also say, yeah, Monique, to conclude, to summarize, that's okay, yeah. In short, that's okay as well. So a phrase like that, and remember the comma afterwards. Although there are, okay, so this is acknowledging the other argument. What could you say there? Drawbacks, that's right. So remember, you're going back to the other side. So although there are drawbacks to having a youthful population, it is clear that young people can make a significant what to their country? Contribution, yeah, that's right, contribution to their country. And then how is this done? So again, going back to the points we discussed earlier, so by developing the economy and providing support to older people, that's right. Yeah, if you say generations, you have to say older generation, okay? But you can say generations with an S, or older people is fine too. Okay, and then you would restate your opinion, starting with a phrase like this one. So on balance, I would argue that having a large number of young people is what to any country? Yeah, that's right. So most of you got that. So beneficial to any country. Yes. And that's the end. Okay, so that's the whole essay, the whole task there. So just to review, you need to analyze the question before you start writing. You need to decide on your overall response, okay? You need to choose the correct structure. Okay, is it outweigh or is it discuss? And use appropriate linking expressions, okay, which we've done here. And obviously you need to leave a little bit of time to check your grammar and spelling. So I would say about 5 minutes at the end. This is actually band 9, okay? So if you write like this, you will get band 9. So it's something to aim for. It's 260 words, so it's slightly longer than you'd be expected to do, but it's advisable to write at least sort of 250 and more if possible. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Are there any questions? I think there were, so hopefully we can answer them.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Mary. Well done for soldiering through.
That's all right.
Great job despite the illness. So well done. Excellent, guys. And yeah, there have definitely been a lot of your questions. I've been trying to tackle as many as I can in the Q&A, but they keep pouring in. So hopefully we'll have a bit more time now to answer some of your more common questions. If you do have any extra, you can add them into the Q&A now. I would just like to take a moment to tell you a bit about our speaking and writing evaluation service, which we offer on our website, IELTSonlinetest.com. So if you're interested in getting your writing assessed by a qualified IELTS examiner, you can submit it onto our website. One of our team will take a look at it. We will give you an estimated band score, and we'll give you a full written report with feedback about common mistakes that you're making, what you can do to increase your score in each category. So if you are planning to take the test this year, that could be a really useful thing for you to get feedback on your writing. I'm putting the link in the chat to that. We also have a speaking evaluation service where you can book time with a qualified examiner, and we'll give feedback on your speaking as well. Finally, if you're interested in improving your reading and listening, we have some video lessons available on our website where we go through different reading and listening tests, different strategies that you can use to improve your reading and listening. So I've put the link to that in the chat. Please do check it out. And I can see some requests for the YouTube channel, so I'll pop that into the chat as well, okay? Right. On that note, I think we can take a look at some of these questions, because I can see you guys have some really good questions throughout the session. We're going to tackle the ones in the Q&A first, okay? So if you do have any questions, please add them to the Q&A. Right. Let's take a look at these. So Mary, first question for you. Quite a lot of people had this question already, so I think it'd be worth discussing. It's about the organization. If you're answering an outweigh question type, should I start with the advantages or the disadvantages? And this first question's from Marut.
Okay.
Which one should I start with?
So basically, so as I was saying at the beginning, you need to think of some advantages and disadvantages, so make a note of them. And then once you've done that, you decide if there are more advantages than disadvantages, or maybe the advantages are stronger or the disadvantages are stronger. And then when you're structuring the essay, you would start with the one that isn't your argument, okay? So in this case, we started with one disadvantage, and then we had two advantages. So you need to have more of one than the other. And the one that you have more of will come second. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And if I can just add, not just for advantage, disadvantage, but generally any type of academic writing, we usually start with the view we disagree with, and then we move on to the view that we agree with. So that's a good way to keep it in your mind. Start with the view you disagree, and then the view that you agree with, and then that leads to your conclusion, stronger conclusion. Okay. If it's just discuss the advantages and disadvantages, then it doesn't really matter so much. You could have two advantages in body paragraph A and two disadvantages in body paragraph B. As long as you discuss both sides, the order is not so important. It's only when you're giving your opinion that the order is a bit more important. All right. So hopefully that's cleared you up. That's cleared up for you, because we had about 20 people asking the same question. Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. I've got a question from Peter, which is, what are the main criteria for general evaluation of the essay? Peter, this is quite a general question. I'll put a link in the chat to the marking criteria. There are 4 of them. You can look at it in a bit more detail. If you'd like to ask another question, you can check that out. Okay. Right. Let's see. We've got a question here about the number of examples. This is from Ekaterina, who is asking, how many examples should I give for one paragraph, A, B, or C?
Okay, so this is for each advantage and each disadvantage, I assume. So I think one example is enough, but as long as you explain your point really well, so you need to be very clear about what the advantage or the disadvantage is, then explain it well, and then give an example. I mean, you can add more than one, but I don't think it's necessary. Jamie, what would you say?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, one example per paragraph should be fine. If you feel like you've got a really good second example, you could maybe briefly provide an alternative, like such as this or this, but generally it's better to develop one idea fully rather than just adding a list of different examples. So I would focus on giving a reason and an example for each of your main ideas rather than a list of different examples, because they don't really add too much to it. Okay, good. Let's see. Question from Stephen here, kind of related to the first question, which is, why are there 3 body paragraphs in this essay, whereas normally IELTS writing, we only have 2 body paragraphs?
Well, I think this relates to kind of, you're discussing the advantages and disadvantages. So you need to show there are more of one than the other. So there are going to be 2 of one and then 1 of the other. So it has to be unequal. Otherwise there's not the outweighing element to it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'd agree. Let's see. Okay, good question here from Tien. This is about paraphrasing. Tien says, hi, I'm not good at paraphrasing. Could you please suggest to me how to improve it? Are there any good websites to build up the words and find some academic synonyms? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is something that most people find really hard. I mean, it really tests your English. And if you can become good at paraphrasing, it will just help you so much. But it does require a lot of practice. I would recommend, yeah, starting with trying to find synonyms. So you can use the academic word list, which is like a recognized list of words and phrases that we use in academic English. And if you put that into Google, you will find a list of lots of different words, and there are different exercises you can do on certain university websites. And I recommend this to all my students, and they all say they'll do it, and they never do. So it does. I think it really helps, but it requires a bit of kind of persistence. You need to try and commit to it and do it regularly. But I think you'll notice a difference.
Definitely, definitely. If I could add as well, you know, as well as learning new words, learning a few different techniques for getting the most out of the words you already have as well can be really helpful. So focusing on changing the word form, you know, learning the noun form, the adjective form, maybe there's a verb form as well. Changing the word or the verb from active to passive, changing the word order as well, you know, so rather than just trying to add in new, more complicated words, just change the sentence structure a little bit, and you know that can work really well as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's like a process, so you can't do it all at once. You know, I think it can be quite overwhelming. But just breaking it down and, you know, increasing your synonyms, your vocabulary, but then as Jamie said, learning how to use the passive, changing the word order, but maybe isolating those skills, and then once you've got good at one, you know, you can do the other one. You'll gradually improve, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent. So let's see, another question here. A couple of you had questions about giving an opinion. So Maria is asking, using a thesis statement is not obligatory if the question doesn't ask me for my opinion. Is that the case? If you're not asked for an opinion, you don't need to use a thesis statement.
Yeah, because a thesis, really another word for thesis is opinion. So you wouldn't be using a thesis statement, but you'd use an outline statement. So it's in the same place, but it's just saying what you're going to be discussing.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there were a couple of questions about outline statement and thesis statement, but yeah, as you said, Mary, the, you know, thesis is when you're presenting an argument, you're presenting an opinion. An outline, you're just stating what you're going to talk about in the essay. So this essay will talk about this and this. If you're not asked for an opinion, then probably the outline statement is more appropriate. Yeah, good. Okay, so yeah, Abdullah, you're asking about the most 3 recent videos from our webinars. Good spot. Some of you may have noticed, and I'll address this just now, if that's all right, Mary, that we have not been uploading every video at the moment. We've got a lot of repeated lessons on YouTube, so we want to find a way that we can still provide you with the recording of the video, but maybe using a separate channel on our YouTube, okay? We're going to be addressing this very soon, so if you can bear with us, and we will be able to you know, find a way to get you the recordings of each lesson, right? But it might take a little bit more time. In the meantime, though, you can find the same lesson on the YouTube channel. This lesson is up there, advantage, disadvantage, using the same slides, the same content. So you'll be able to find the same information there, even if it's not the same recording. Okay, so hopefully that will keep you going for the time being. And yeah, Naresh, I'll just put the YouTube link in the chat just now. Okay, right. Let's see, Savinj, we can't share the essay by email, but you can find it on the YouTube channel. Okay, so you can review the lesson via YouTube. Right, let's see. Going through, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll try and address some of your most common questions here. I had a quick question about what would be the score for this essay. Mary, if you maybe want to...
Yeah, this is, well, actually, I'll go back a minute. So it's, as you can see at the bottom, it says band 9, 260 words. So yeah, band 9. So it's something to aim for.
There you go. Yeah, I should add that it took us a very long time to write this. So writing it within the 40 minutes is probably a challenge. Okay, but given enough time, it is possible. So let's see. Yeah. Let's see. A good question from Maria, who says, my English teacher says that I should always give my opinion, even in this type of question. Is this right?
Well, this type of question, yeah. I mean, you do. You're giving your opinion because you're giving more advantages than disadvantages, which shows that's your opinion. And also, as you can see, the thesis statement expresses that.
Yeah.
So you do, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mentioned in another answer a bit earlier that, you know, even if you're not expressly asked to give an opinion, it probably doesn't hurt at the end in your conclusion just to briefly summarize your point of view with an opinion. It can be a nice way to round up your essay, you know, as long as you don't introduce any new information. You know, you're saying, so, you know, in my opinion, I think there are a lot of advantages to this. It's, you know, even if you're not asked, it's you won't lose marks for that. Okay, great. Let's see. Good question here related to paraphrasing. Your name is all in Arabic, so I'm afraid I can't read that. But if you want to let us know your name in the chat, that would be great. They're asking, can I repeat a word 5 to 6 times in an essay?
It depends on the words. If it's something like is or like, you know, those kind of small words, it's fine. I mean, you know, if you've got no choice, I would try, unless you've got no choice, unless you really can't think of words, try not to repeat verbs, for example, or use the active instead of the passive. You know, you could do that. So, I mean, one of the criteria for this essay is lexical resource, which means vocabulary. So you need to try and use a wide vocabulary.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I'd also say, you know, for some, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to avoid repeating the words. So particularly, you know, I remember we had a question talks about multinational corporations, and it's like there are not very many synonyms for, you know, this word. So you can say large companies, multinational companies, multinational corporations, global companies. You're still going to repeat the word companies and corporations, you know, many, many times in the essay, but, you know, you're not going to lose marks for that, because as long as you're not just repeating multinational corporations every time, you should try and be a bit more flexible, but it's okay to repeat individual words, I would say.
Yeah, also I was just going to add that words like, or phrases like global warming, for example, that isn't really an equivalent, so you don't need to try and explain that. That could be a key word for an essay, so it's actually fine to repeat keywords,
yeah,
because it creates cohesion within the essay.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. Like I think often students will lose marks because they try to find synonyms for words that don't really have a synonym. So instead of saying global warming, you know, they might say global hotness, and it's like, well, doesn't really mean the same thing. And it sounds unnatural. So if you're not sure, just repeat the word. It's better than using inappropriate words. Okay, good. Let's see, guys. So it is the new year. It's 2020. What are your plans for IELTS for for this year. Are you planning to take the test in the near future? Are you planning to take paper-based, computer-based? What score are you aiming for? If you can let us know, it'd be good to hear a bit more about your New Year's resolutions for IELTS. Okay, well, we'll tackle a few more of these questions. So let's see. We've got Ian is taking Mexico City, February. Leslie, very good, Sandeep. Yeah, okay, excellent. So yeah, you guys mostly have your tests coming up in February. Right, excellent. Well, hopefully we have webinars twice a week now, continuing through January. So hopefully they'll be helpful for you while you're preparing. Okay, good. Let's see. And are there any areas of the test that you would specifically like us to focus on over the next few weeks? We've got webinars on writing. We have some on reading as well coming up. Let us know if there's anything specific you'd like us to cover, okay? Is it achievable? It depends. It is definitely achievable.
Anything, you can do anything. Anything's achievable.
Yeah, exactly, Semridi. Good luck to Attila. Well done. Yeah, good. Okay. I believe, we have some writing coming up. Some of you are asking about the computer-based or the paper-based. Has anyone taken the computer-based test yet in the past? What was your experience of it? Would you recommend it to other students? Let's see, a bit about reading. Yeah, I mean, from what we've heard, Naresh, the computer-based test, they're very, very similar. Essentially, the two tests, they're equal difficulty, exactly the same content. Really just depends if you prefer typing, if you're comfortable using computers, or if you're comfortable writing with your handwriting. It's really just a personal preference. I can see Iyad is saying computer-based, they would recommend. Yeah, and you get the word count as well, Maria. Yeah, I think I would probably prefer the computer-based one because I prefer typing. Well, what about you, Mary? Are you?
No, definitely, no question about it.
Yeah.
But it just depends on you. I think if you can touch type, it's for sure. It's computer-based.
Yeah, definitely. You get results faster as well, so that's another advantage. Yeah, excellent. Okay, guys. Well, I think we are going to need to wrap up for today. I'm sorry if we've not covered all of your questions. I know a lot of them came in. You will be able to post them as questions on our YouTube channel. Whether you can add them to the YouTube channel. We do have another webinar coming up on Thursday with Annalie as well, so hopefully you can join us for that. I would just like to say a really big thank you to Mary for presenting.
That's okay. Sorry about my voice. I'm just feeling rubbish today.
Yeah, I feel like I'm catching a bit of a cold as well now.
Yeah,
so
that's my fault.
Caught it over the internet. Yeah, but hopefully we'll both be okay and recovered for another webinar next week. Okay, so guys, big thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you everybody. Good luck with your exams if they're coming up soon.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll see you again. Hopefully, I'll be here in 2 weeks. I'll see you again then.
Well, excellent. Right. Thanks again, Mary. And
thanks, Jamie.
We'll see you soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Hope you feel better soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye.
Right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye for now.